Welcome back to Twitch Tales episode 9. Where did we leave off in episode 8? Well, let's find out with a little letter to your sisters. Minoki, Maya. After my last message to you, I fear maybe I left you with a little stress. I'm sorry for scaring you. I've recently learned that maybe I'm not in quite as much danger as I thought. But I guess time will still tell. I arrived on Drenwheel. I started scouting out the Drensal ranges where I was tasked with mapping the swamps, but I found it too dangerous, so I retreated back to the guild, where I was told that I needed to report my findings to the king. On my way to the capital, I encountered a hill giant, and I managed to persuade an angry mob to leave him alive, for he was only trying to look after himself, the same way that you guys and I used to have to do on the streets. Thankfully, they took him under their wing as maybe a guard of sorts. Arriving in the capital, I made use of the facilities there. They had a lovely bathhouse and a library, and then the next morning I woke up really early and made my way to the palace. Meeting a whole bunch of interesting folk, each with their own stories to tell, their own irks and issues to bring to the king. It was quite an experience. Eventually I got to meet the king myself. The throne room was magnificent and large. He even had a large dead green dragon just mounted above him as if it was flying. It was a little intimidating, but maybe that's the point. I presented my problem to the king, and he talked it through with his magical advisor. I think I forgot to mention in the last one, but he looked like a little boy, but I was told later he was actually much older than he looks. Some sort of effect with his magic has made him look younger than he is. In either case, they decided that mapping out the Drensal was not the priority now. And so instead they've tasked me with mapping two different areas. One is the area between a town called Holdover and a city called Starnhun that moves through a dangerous part of terrain called the Death Plains, an old volcanic activity area where there's apparently firestorms and fire elementals, roaming bands of dogs and other monsters. And then if I can make it through that and map it out, there's another task to map out an area even further north, an area called Woodfield. The king here is having trouble with some orcs, and he wants to know if there's an area of the mountain range where they could come down and attack his villagers. I'm not really worried about that part so much. I'm mostly just concerned with the Death Plains and whether I'll survive. I arrived in Holdover. It's a lovely crossover town where adventurers gather, and I made my way to a really homely tavern called the Scabbard. I was asked to check my dagger at the door, which was a good sign that they don't acknowledge violence in this tavern. It seemed like a safe place for adventurers to rest. I got some food and a drink, lovely berries and a mushroom stew from the Underdark, and I went and sat with some new acquaintances, a tabaxi, a phenivora called Moonrise, and a tiefling who called himself Harmony, though I could tell he was keeping his real name from me. That's his prerogative, I guess. They told me about the dangers of the Death Plains. The one calling himself Harmony, he was from there apparently, and he did a lot to raise my anxieties about the place. But when I mentioned to him where exactly I was going there, he said it wouldn't be quite as dangerous up near the rim of the lake. As long as I have a lot of water and I'm careful and have my wits about me, he says I should be fine. I'm still undecided whether I'm going to hire an adventurer to try and come along with me, or whether it's better to go alone and move as quickly as I can without another life to worry about. I guess I'll decide that today. I've woken early and I'm about to head off north. Wish me luck. I miss you guys. Lots of love. Noodle. And that's where we're picking up today. You've had your long rest. In the morning, you have a look through your belongings and find that, as far as you can tell, there has been no robbery in the night, no pickpocketing, nothing of your coin purse or belongings seems to have been taken in the night. What do you want to do? You are in Holdover. The day is yours. Don't forget to collect your dagger again. We will do that now just so we don't forget. As you are leaving the scabbard, you turn in your wooden token and you collect your dagger from the door. Get breakfast and then collect our weapons, head out. Buy many water skins and fill them. many water skins and fill them. All right. We will skip over your procuring a delicious porridge for breakfast. It's a very nice porridge, and then you pay a little money. I'll mark that off. Let's say let's say 6 copper for the porridge, and then we'll go into your you go into a shop nearby, just a general store on the main street, and as you procure yourself some water skins, let's see how much room you've got for them. We'll add water skin here, and we'll see how much room you can carry essentially. Let's see, it's under food, water skin, boom, there we are. If we shift your shambling mound heart up here, just to get it out of the way a little bit. You've got plenty of paper still for your cartography. You've got more room here for your for another water skin. There we are. Chuck another water skin there. And then you've probably got a little more room as well if you shift some things around in your bag, your rations and your honey and stuff. Let's move it around. There we are. We've got another water skin there. How many are you willing to buy? Let me look up how much they are. Looking at my DM screen. How much will I charge you for a water skin? General store, water skin, usually 2 silver pieces. Would it be more or less in this town? 2 silver would be... No, I think that's about right. So I think you can get each one for 2 silver. So if you've bought 3, you're at 6 silver already. How many more do you want if you want any more? You currently have, just for your reference, you have 41 gold and 9 silver in your pocket. This is a general store for adventurers to be coming through, and so they would have quite a lot of water skins. So they have as many as you need, essentially. Go for 5 total, 1 gold piece worth. There you go. Then we'll get 5. We'll buy 5. We already had 1, so we'll buy 5 total. And that's going to take up quite a bit of weight, obviously, because water weighs quite a lot of. There you go. Fire resistance. Food, water skin, boom. There you go. So you've got 6 between you. Each water skin, mechanically speaking, should be enough to last for 1 day of water. But in a very hot climate where you'd be sweating a lot and expending a lot of moisture, you need 2 water skins per day, usually. And I guess we'll see. How much can we carry? You're not a very strong person, which is why I'm keeping a track of like your inventory by looking at how much you can literally fit on your inventory, because this starts to get very heavy for you. And if you look at your character sheet, you can see that you have a -1 strength. You're a very tall, lithe, lanky, very dexterous monk that uses dexterity rather than muscular strength. We'll mark off 1 gold for the 5 water skins, and you fill them up with water. You ask around as well, just so that you guys have an idea of what you're doing. You ask around to people before leaving the town, like where is the Death Plains, how far away and such, and you will pick up on some dimensions. You get that you get that it is about 40 kilometers from here to the foothills of the mountain, and on a winding path it'll be about 38 kilometers of climbing the mountain as you go. It is a very large volcano. So altogether about 80-ish kilometers between here and the edge of the Death Plains. And then from there, the Death Plains itself, the path through the Death Plains, is about 18 kilometers. So let me show you on a map what we're talking about. That's right, we have a map, baby! If I can get it. I've hidden it behind my my display case, because it just arrived from the merch store and I'm trying to flatten it out a little bit. We have a map of Drenwheel, which you have been given in character. You have a map of Drenwheel. This is the island that you are currently on. You started over here in Portsend, you made your way down to Wendraven, you're now in Holdover, right there, look, and then you are going to be heading up towards Starnhon via this mountain path. So as you head up that little dotted line, to get to the foothills of the mountains, about 40 kilometers, from the dotted line up through the mountains into the start of the Death Plain is about 30 to 38 kilometers of mountain climbing. And then once you get to the edge of the Death Plain, up near the crater, up near the rim of the lake that's in the volcanic caldera, once you get to the edge of the actual Death Plains, then it's about an 18-kilometer path to get through the Death Plains round to the other side. So it's going to be at your pace, because you are an herbivore that can walk at about 10 kilometers an hour. I did the maths on 55 feet per round and how many kilometers an hour that is. You're walking at about 10 kilometers an hour on average across flat grounds. So it'll take you about 4-ish hours to get to the foothills of the mountains. It'll take you about 4 or 5 hours to get up towards the Death Plains. So it'll be the best part of an adventuring day to get to the edge of the Death Plains. And then you'll have walked for like 80 kilometers or so by that point and done a lot of hiking. You'll probably need a long rest. And then you'll be moving through the Death Plains, which at a decent pace will take you 2 to 3 hours. If you take a slow pace to try and be more stealthy and avoid monsters and be on the lookout and stuff, then it might take you about 4 to 6 hours of hiking through the Death Plains itself. So having 3 days worth of water on you would probably be enough, especially since you've got 2 potions of fire resistance which will last for an hour each. $18 kilometers is decent. We could double time it through the tip and do it in 20 to 30 minutes. You could potentially do it in less time if you wanted to dash through the Death Plains, but you're not just tasked with getting through it, you're tasked with mapping it. We should be able to get to the edge of the hot area as the sun's going down. Yep, if you set off now and walk all day, you might be able to get to the edge of the Death Plains, the hottest part of it, by the time the sun's going down. I'll leave my map out for now because you might want to reference it again later. What a cool map! You want one of those maps yourself? Go head over to the Robert Hartley GM store where you can find the merch, including that map. So if you want one yourself, go and get it. You can get them in different sizes. I think we took a slower, more cautious pace through the plains, both for safety and to conserve our energy in the heat. You could also choose to head to the mountains and not rush up to the edge of the Death Plains, and you can just take your time to get there so that you can pace yourself and then get there just in time to move through it at night time. That's up to you. Are there people heading that way? You can, if that's what you want to do, you can, as you're leaving Holdover, you can ask if any adventurers or farmers or merchants or anything are heading up towards Stanhan. Even if we walk all day, we'll need to sleep at some point. You will indeed, yes. We'll be too tired to cross the plains at night, and it'll be dangerous sleeping near them. Should faff about half a day here and then leave, and then sleep halfway there so we can cross it at night time. That's also a good option. If you wanted to spend your morning just in Holdover, faffing about, then set off afternoon, you'll get to the foothills of the mountain by the time you're making camp. You can make camp at the base of the Welkarak volcano. Then tomorrow you can spend the first half of the day walking up towards the Death Plains, and then you can head through the Death Plains later in the evening into the night. See if there's a cleric, says Nerdwitch. What for? What do you... If we try and hire a cleric? To come with you mean? Are binoculars even a thing, actually? If they are, can we buy a pair for long-range mapping? They would be a thing, but they wouldn't be readily accessible. You'd need to have some like properly made, or you would have, if you were doing that in Wendraven, the capital is a very large city where you have access to all sorts of amenities. You might have been able to buy some there. But you would have still had to do some like hunting around and asking for them, and maybe they would have been pretty expensive and all the rest. You don't just see things and map them, you need to measure things. Yeah, walking through the Death Plains and measuring them and like actually mapping it out and stuff, that is going to take you going through at a slow pace, because you're going to need to be stopping and taking measurements and using tools and deciding on, is that actually from this angle with the parallax, is that mountain actually as far away as they've currently got it on the map, and updating things and being like, that's not as far as it looks and all that stuff. Alright, so it looks like we might be putting it to a vote. We're going to put a vote of what we're going to be doing. So I'm just going to put a poll into the chat of like when to leave. When to leave Holdover. Immediately. Like, let's get going. Mid-morning. Early afternoon. Or evening. If you want to be leaving now, you can. But if you want to spend some time here and sort of take your time getting to the mountains, you can also do that. How far is Holdover from the Death Plains? It is 40 kilometers or so from Holdover to the base of the mountain. It's another 40-ish of climbing from to get to the edge of the Death Plains, and then it's about 18 kilometers through the Death Plains. And with your Ernivora legs and monk speed, you can walk at about 10 kilometers an hour without dashing. And you can dash for small periods of time with it before you start getting exhaustions. All right, 55% of the vote saying leave mid-morning. So you've got a little bit more time to hang out and hold over if you want to do anything in particular. Is there anything you want to do? Some people were keen on maybe getting an adventurer to try and join you to see if you can afford an adventurer to join you. You have just under 41 gold on your person. It's convert 10 kilometers an hour into miles per hour so I can understand it, and dang, that's fast. It is fast, yeah. You're a very fast walker. Monks get a lot of extra speed. You're a speed walker. Alright, thumbs up if you want to try and find and hire an adventurer to come with you. Thumbs down if you do not. There are pluses and minuses to both. For one thing, you might not be able to afford it. If you have an adventurer, then yes, they might be able to offer you protection, but also there might be an extra person to accommodate for. If you hire an adventurer, that's going to reduce your speed, because it's highly unlikely you'd be able to find anyone who's even close to your walking speed, so you'd be taking longer to hire them for, which would mean more time to pay for them. But then you've also got somebody who might be able to like heal you on the journey and have healings, or like have magic and things. Alright, not unanimous, but very overwhelmingly no, you are not interested in hiring an adventurer. You're going to go this alone, which means that you'll be able to move at a much faster speed, and you'll be able to stealth a lot easier once you get into the Death Plains as well. Alright, so what are you going to do with the rest of your time in Holdover? In that case, you've got like 2 or 3 hours to kill before you want to set off mid-morning. What is it you want to do with your downtime? Find something to protect our feet and the rest of us from general heat. All right. So we're going to go find a general store where we can find some boots, some footwear, and we're going to see how much I will sell you adventurers' boots for. Let's have a look. What would I put boots at? Some nice sturdy leather boots that will maintain some heat. I think like. Let me check the. Where have I got it? I'll do this one. Grab it over here. Let's do this in items, adventuring gear. Okay. Pair of boots included as part of most sets of clothing. They do not give a cost or a weight. Thanks D&D Beyond, you're super useful. I think for bare boots, you're looking at going to a cobbler and getting them to tailor make some boots that are going to fit your bare feet with your digitigrade walking and such. And so it's going to be boots that are going to protect you but also not inhibit your movement and such. So it's going to be a little bit costly, especially because you want a bit of a rush on them as well. You're going to go to a cobbler. You're going to find one easily enough because this is an adventuring town. In fact, holy shit. Oh man, I wonder if I can find his details. I think he was a cobbler, wasn't he? Is a gnome guy. What's his name? I haven't thought about him in like 6 years. There is a gnome cobbler in Holdover that is part of another friend's backstory. I guess I bet I'm going to be able to find him. I'm going to look up my friend's backstory. Son of a bitch. I really need to organize my home game notes now that they're starting to overlap into my my career work. Now that you're all in the same place as my home games took place, I need to actually consolidate all my home game notes. What was his name? The gnome. Fuck. Doesn't matter. I'll come back to it later. I'll find it. So to let you in on what the hell's going on in my brain, this guy, Lagan Jihar, he's one of the first characters that ever lived in my world. He's played by a good friend of mine, Joel. The scabbard where you just stayed, that's his tavern, or his mother's tavern anyway. Part of his backstory is that his dad went missing when he was 6. Him and his mum ran the scabbard. He learned from all the different adventurers that passed through the tavern, the homely scabbard it used to be called. He learned from them all about adventuring, and he was longing to be an adventurer, and he wanted to go out and see the world. He also wanted to know what happened to his dad. His mum got sick, real sick, and none of the clerics could work out what was going on with her. And this magical illness seemed to progress until she died. And when she died, the ownership of the homely scabbard passed into Dalen Oxburn, one of her most trusted employees. And Lagan decided he wasn't going to stick around. He wasn't going to stick around in Holdover, and he left to be an adventurer. But part of his backstory is he had a best friend / love interest who was a quarter gnome, and her father is a half gnome, was a cobbler in Holdover. And so with you going off to find footwear, it's just suddenly occurred to me, holy shit, Reza was her name. Reza is his girlfriend, and her father was called... Oh man, I wish I could remember it. Reza's father is a half gnome cobbler that lives in Holdover, and you happen to be going to him to get footwear. I'll be able to find it later. Never mind. I'll try and move on. You head to his cobbler's shop. You see this like very old looking fella. He's quite short in stature. He's got very gnomish features, but he's only a gnomon. He's a half gnome, half human. He's got quite a broad nose and a very round face with this white hair pulled back. He's only about 4 foot tall. A little bit of points to the edges of his ears, but not by a tremendous amount. And very large, thick jam-jar bottom glasses on the edge of his nose as he's really bending and curving some leather around a shoehorn sort of a situation as you walk in. You ask him as you walk in. You say, "Oh, hey, I'm looking for something to protect my feet against the hot sands and hot rocks of the Death Plains. I don't tend to wear footwear." And you lift your feet up to show him, and he's very fascinated. He loves feet of all different. That sounded weird. He's very interested in all of the different styles that feet can come in with the different species that pass through his town. And so you do notice that he does have quite a few different footwear already made, like up on the walls, and he's got different ones that are designed for like more reptilian feet that have got just space for your claws to stick through. He's got some that are designed for digitigrade, like herbivores and phenivores and such. It's in the right line of work. Yeah, he's interested in like, oh, how cool are all the different ways that feet can look. He's got like Goliath boots and Hobbit boots and everything in between. So he immediately goes, "Oh yeah, what sort of a size?" And he just picks up on your foot size immediately and goes, "So you're looking for something that's just more like sandal-like or something like this?" And he brings over a couple of different options for you. One that's like flip-flop sandals that will just cover the base of your feet. And then there's others that are like up and protecting around the ankles and everything in case you step into something deeper and suddenly you're stepping into lava or something. They're not enchanted because that would cost a hell of a lot more money than you currently have. But they are very durable leather. He sort of like rambles a little bit talking about how, so this one, these ones are made out of the leather of just regular leather from cattle. So they're durable, but they will burn. They'll last you a couple of trips through the Death Plains, but you will notice they'll start to burn holes in them if you keep going through them. Whereas these ones here are created from the hide of a crabana. Crabana are creatures that live in the Death Plains. They're like rock monsters. That vomit lava at you. And adventurers over time have slain some and brought them here, and they're very tough to work with. It's almost like stonework, but once they die and you can make the leather of them more malleable, you can turn them into a very fire-resistant type of leather. They're not enchanted to be fire-resistant, but they will last you a little longer. However, it's quite a lot more money because they're expensive things to work with, and they're difficult to collect as well for the adventurers to go and collect them. So, what sort of a thing are we looking for here? We want oven mitts for the feet. He likes the challenge of making shoes for a multitude of feet that walk through his shop door. Indeed. Gladiator sandals. Sandals to protect the toe beans. Leave the toe claws out so that we can kick and scratch with our monk feet. We shouldn't be cheap in this case. Depends how much. High resistance sandals sounds expensive. You ask him what sort of a price are we talking for these, eh? He says, for these ones, because the sandals he's got are pretty ready made already. It'll cost 2 gold for a set of sandals. They're made out of regular cattle leather, so they will last you maybe a trip through the Death Plains, or maybe 2 if you're lucky, and then they'll be burned up to the point where you need to replace them. He says, for these ones that are more durable, I'll need to do a little bit of, I'll need to make them fit your feet relatively well, so these ones are 20 gold. So 2 gold for the cheap ones that are temporary, but will last you this trip, maybe another. Or you go 20 gold for the ones that will last a lot longer because they're much more heat resistant. So thumbs up if you want to pay the higher price. Thumbs up for 20 gold. Thumbs down for the 2 gold. You get 2 pairs of the cheap ones. You could get 2 pairs of the cheap ones, yeah. Alright, most people saying go down, 2 pairs of the cheap ones. We're frugal. Alright, 2 pairs of the cheap ones. Let's just see if he does have 2 pairs ready for you. The chances of it, yes, he does. Let's see if he has 3 pairs just on hand. He doesn't. So he has the last 2 pairs of the ones that are designed for Nivoran feet, predator-like feet. You are going to spend 4 gold on that. You're not proficient in persuasion, so you're not going to get any sort of a discount by chatting with him about it. But you get 2 pairs of the cheap ones. They will fit well enough for your purposes. He's an artisan and he's very proud of his work. And so, his name just came to me and went again immediately. It's just it's teasing me at the back of my mind. It's like, it's this. Haha, I'm not going to tell you. God damn it. Damn my brain. I can't stop but hyperfixate on things when I just know that I know the answer to it and I can't find what it is. He is an artisan and he's very proud of his work, so he's going to fit them to you a little bit. He asks you to take a seat. He brings up some like measuring tools and stuff and does a little bit of this and that and measuring between toes and stuff. I'll be right back, and then takes them up to the desk. You see him hop up onto a bit of a stool, so he's got proper working. Grabs whatever he was working on before, just slides it off and chucks it off to the side. Takes this new pair and just starts hammering and nailing, and he's got these like tools that are crimping and he's bending stuff. Bending the leather and really pressing it in. Getting stuff in, then pulling this bit out, and he gets like a little stitch remover and pulls this part out, puts that on again. Okay, stitch that back through. He's working like his hands are moving like nobody's business. He's really knows what he's doing and going to town this thing, and you can see like the passion of it is he's like very passionate about what he does and how he does it. And eventually he gets it off. That one I'll do for you, and he throws that across to you, and he gets the other one on, and he does it again. By the time he's finished, it's definitely a little past mid-morning. Wow, you're really good at this, eh? Oh, thank you. I would hope so. I've been doing it for 57 years now, I think, somewhere around there. Wow. Well, you're obviously good at what you do and very passionate. You've definitely earned this, and you hand him over the 4 gold. You're very welcome. If you see anybody in need of footwear on your journey, make sure to send them my way. I've got a very memorable name, and anybody on your journey, if you just give them my name, they'll definitely remember it because my name is super memorable. He hands over your footwear. You slide them on. They are very comfortable. They're going to need a little bit of breaking in because they are leather. He's famous, the foot guy. Fight in the urge to ask him his name in game. You definitely get given his name in game because he's a gnome, and gnomes fucking love names, and he would have given you all sorts of variations of his name, I'm sure. Sorry, I don't think I got your name. He says it again. His name is to be added in later in post. Give him the sketch we made of his shop. I love that, Aidan. I love that. So while he was working on his his artisan craft, you were working on yours as a bit of a sketch artist and a bit of a cartographer. You got out your materials. You have, if you remember, in your inventory, plenty of paper. You have plenty of paper, and you have a bottle of ink that is self-filling, an Inkfinity it's called. And so you sketched a little sketch of him working, and you handed over to him. Let's see how well you did. Let's roll you an artist check. Go to your dice cam. Boop. That is 19. The good rolls continue. Look, 19 plus it would be dexterity based, so that's already a 23, and you're proficient in cartography tools, so that is another 3. So that is a 26. With a 26 sketch, you do a very good sketch of like you're sitting off to the left hand side of his shop. He's got like his little counter there. You did a sketch of him working. It's quite a flattering picture of him as well. You smoothed out some of the old age wrinkles and liver spots on his forehead and stuff, and avoided putting those in. But then you sketched a very brief, quick sketch of all the different footwear behind him as well. You say, "Here you go. This is for you." He goes, "Oh, this is incredible! Thank you so much. You're an artist, then?" You say, "Of sorts, yeah. I'm a map maker, really. I'm actually mapping the death plains, which is why I needed the book." "Oh, best of luck. You've got enough water?" You're like, "I think so, yeah." And you open your bag and you show him 6 things of water. He goes, "Oh, yeah, I should think so. Hopefully, yeah. Well, good luck. If you are back through Holdover, make sure to pop in, see how well you're doing with those boots. If you need any more, let me know." "Thank you very much. It's a pleasure meeting you." And then you leave his store. Love that we do portraits of people. Yeah, it's very sweet. It is now later in the morning, so you set off out of Holdover and head your way north. It takes you the best part of about 4 hours or so to head over the foothills towards the mountain range. I'm going to just roll you a perception check as you walk, because it's just kind of a general perception as you walk and not stopping in one place to focus. You're not using your predatory patience here, so you don't have advantage. It's just a +3 perception check as you walk. That is a 10 plus 3 is 13. Cool, good to know. It doesn't seem like the time that you're leaving, anybody else is leaving at the same time. No merchants heading that way. There are people that come and go between the two towns, but you have heard that most people, once they get to, once they've crested a lot of Mount Walkerak, they head to the right towards the up and overpass. That's a lot safer, but it's a lot harder for carriages and wagons to head that way, and they do not try to go around the Death Plains instead. So not a lot of people heading out towards Steinhorn with carriages and wagons is basically my point. You head north, you walk for about an hour, maybe 2 hours. Eventually you do see someone coming the other way. I'm refusing to write that mountain name down. I'll write it for you. Walkerak. About 2 hours, 3 hours, about 2 hours go by before you start seeing somebody coming the other way. He's a large human guy. There's two of them, in fact, a larger human and a slightly smaller human. They're dressed like farmers and popping the other way. And as they draw closer, the smaller guy goes, "G'day, fella." They draw closer. They're about 30 feet from you. What do you want to do? What do you say? Bad vibes immediately. Sounds like you want an insight check. Insight. That is a 12. 12 plus your insight. Thankfully for this character, you did choose to take insight as a proficiency, so you have a +6 to that. That is an 18. With an 18, you immediately do get bad vibes from them. They look a little bit thuggish. As they are walking towards you, you're noticing slightly more detail about them. You're noticing that they have definitely been in a few scuffles in their life. The big guy has a very distinctly broken nose and his jaw is a little bit lopsided. You can see that there's a few scars and one of his ears is slightly puffy at the bottom, not fully cauliflowered, but like he's definitely been in fights before. The smaller guy in turn has like a patch of his head that's just not growing hair, where some of this head is scarred over. They've definitely been in fights before, and you're getting a little bit of bad vibe, especially because the first thing that they asked you is, "Are you on your own?" Why does everybody name as fella? Unfortunately, as an herbivore, you are relatively uncommon as a species, and so you just look like a big bear. And from working at the zoo as a tour guide, I can tell you that 95% of people default to male pronouns when they're talking about animals. "Oh, what's his name?" And I'm like, "That's clearly a lion without a mane. Why would you assume male?" Okay, interesting. So yeah, I'm kind of just going on that for the fact that people see a bear person and go, "I assume it's a man because it's 6 foot whatever." Your stature and intimidating look is probably what makes them default to assuming you're male. I'm meeting some friends up ahead. I'm going to roll you a deception check, because that is a straight up lie. Deception for you, that is a 14, rolling well still, thankfully. You do not have proficiency in deception, so it's just a +1 from charisma, that's a 15. 15 deception against his insight. Okay. Thankfully we can probably outrun them. You probably can. I'm meeting some friends up ahead. Never truly alone, eh? He goes, "Oh yeah? Yeah, it's a dangerous path to be heading up the mountain on your own. Where are you meeting the friends? We can maybe walk with you. You know, strength in numbers and all that." We don't have human-placed mammary glands? Yeah, not so much. Toothy fang time. Toothy fangy grin time. Yes, if you do notice as well, you have in your species features, you have intimidating insights and intimidating presence. Intimidating presence is a passive ability that you get just from the fact that you are one of the predator race people, the bear people, just gives you proficiency in intimidation. which is why you have proficiency in intimidation. Intimidating insights means that you are particularly... intimidating presence is a passive insight increase, so just passively people are more scared of you. And then intimidating insights means you're also proficient in using it. You grew up in a bear culture, which means that you learned how to use your snarl, use your teeth, use your claws to be intimidating. Alright, so we're going to make an intimidation check. It sounds... Thanks, I'm a bear, I'll be fine. I love that. That is a 13, you can see that. 13 plus 1 from your charisma is 14, plus another 3 from proficiency in intimidation gives you a 17. 17 intimidation. That's for the small guy, and that's for the big guy. He has advantage because he's a big fella. Alright. They've sort of, you drew level with them because you didn't stop walking. They kind of stopped and kind of, they were walking towards you. You were travelling alone, and then they kind of like stopped and sort of back foot a little bit just so that they can kind of be going your direction to slow down the time it takes for you to pass them. And you go, shall we walk with you? It's dangerous. And you go, I'm a bear, I'll be fine. And you just kind of make a point of like bringing your teeth out a little bit. You see from that, with your insight from before, I'll carry it over. You see from that the littler of the two, he's not tiny, he's probably like 5'8" or so. Still not, short. But he seemed a little more taken aback by that. He's like, oh, you can tell that he's like maybe doubting what he's about to do. But the big guy, he seemed spurred on, if anything. He was like, all right. Dangerous is a matter of perspective. I can take care of myself, fine, thanks. At this point, you are about to leave them. You've started basically drawing level and passing them, and so it's now or never for them. The big guy, not being intimidated and not being smart enough to read that his friend is intimidated, goes, dangerous is a matter of perspective. I can take care of myself. He goes, let's find out. And then he draws out from his, he had his hands kind of crossed like this. He draws out from under one hand just a large bludgeoning weapon, just a club, essentially, from under one hand. I say large, it's actually probably like a handheld, yay big, a foot long, sort of a kosh-like item. He goes, let's find out. And he brings his arms out. This is definitely not going to be a surprise round because you definitely picked up on it with your intuition that they were potentially going to mug you. We're going to roll initiative and go into a fight. Okay, let's head over to the initiative, the combat page. There we go. And we'll grab out a couple of baddies for you, and then we're going to roll initiative. They are definitely bandits that were about to attack you, mug you, because they saw that you were travelling alone and you didn't have visible weapons on you, because you don't necessarily need them and they don't realise that. So let's find somebody who's a big guy that looks like he would be appropriate to attack. Maybe this guy? What does this guy look like? How big is he? Maybe not that guy, I'm not sure. Maybe this guy? I think that might be us actually. Let's close that library down. We've got something a little bit like this. I think this is relatively good. I think as well from the area that you are, this we wouldn't actually have some of these brushy bits around. There we are. There we go. Okay, welcome to the combat screen, everybody. We are going to be passing these two, let's say, fine folk on the path. One of them has just drawn out a bludgeoning weapon and moved towards you to attack. We're going to roll initiative. It is not a surprise round because you definitely picked up on the fact that they were going to be hitting you. So I'm going to roll for them first, just so I know, I'm not fucking around behind the scenes. That is a... where is it? Enemy number 1. There he is. He goes in here. Enemy number 2 goes... No, that's Noodle. We'll get Noodle ready to use in a second. Enemy number 2 goes in here, and then you're probably going to go first with your crazy dexterity, but let's find out. You got a plus 4 to your... you have a plus 4 to your initiative with your plus 4 dexterity. So that is a 7 plus 4 is 11. You're actually just behind enemy number 1 who got a 12. I was expecting you to go ahead of that, but unfortunately you rolled a little bit poor. So he's going to get the first attack on you as he moves to attack you. Don't forget, for anyone who is new to this or has not played in a while, I will just remind you that below me you have some of your combat abilities. You have a hero point, which is a once per session, once per episode thing where you can just do something extra cool. You can turn a hit into a crit, or you can turn a miss into a hit, that sort of thing. You have a lucky clover. Because you took the lucky feat in character creation, and because you are a solo character, you get 4 from the lucky feat and 1 from 3 from the lucky feat and 1 from being a solo character. I always give you a luck point anyway. So this can be used to re-roll things. If you wanted to use one of your leaves of your lucky clover, they do come back every day. They recharge on a dawn. If you want to use one, then you can re-roll your initiative. So if you go ahead, you have uncanny metabolism, which is a feature where you can regain your focus and heal a little bit during a fight. And then you have 6 focus points, which is your it's the resource you use to fuel your almost magical monk-like abilities. So thumbs up, thumbs down on using one of your lucky clover points to re-roll initiative and see if you can go ahead of him on the initiative. So thumbs up, thumbs down. Do you want to re-roll it with one of your luck points? We have 6 charges and we haven't used more than 1 in 2 days. And it helps with all the grappling. You do have 6 charges on your monk wraps. If you want to give yourself a plus 6, a 16 strength for 10 minutes, you could activate them as a bonus action on your turn. I love how it looks like they're literally mugging a grizzly bear in Tailspire. Yeah. I don't have a Tailspire mini for your character yet, but maybe I will someday. Oh, okay. You're a little bit torn down the middle here with yes or no's. So we've got 2 no's, 2 yeses, a yes, a no, a yes, a no. So we're slightly ahead on yeses. Yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, yes. All right. So you are definitely leaning towards yes on re-rolling. So we're going to use one of the lucky points. One of the leaves disappears, and we are going to re-roll initiative. Unfortunately, I won't touch it. I will show you on the dice cam. Unfortunately, that is a 5. So it's a 7 or a 5. We're going to take that 7. Your initiative is not going to change. Jumping into initiative first, then he is going to say, "You're going to say I can look after myself." And big guy goes, "We'll see." And he steps towards you, brings out the kosh in an upwards direction in your vicinity. You have a 17 armor class, so he has a plus 5 to his attack. He needs to roll a 12 or higher. That is a 10. Misses you with a 15 on his first attack. You kind of just dodged to the side of it. He was not anticipating you to be quite as nimble as you are. So you dodge the first one. He brings it around and sweeps the leg. He's going to try and smack your knee if he can knock you down to size. Fail. 2. Misses with both of his swinging attacks. Moves towards you and just whiffs both of them. Apparently you are way too fast, way too nimble, way too maneuverable. That is his action, bonus action. That's his action. He's gonna get real angry about that. He starts to froth almost. You see that some of the veins in his neck starts to bulge up. His eyes almost pop out. He's really angry about the fact that he just missed you twice. He's going into a rage. That's right. He has barbarian levels. Then it is on to you, Noodle. Noodle, what do you want to do? It is over to your turn. Give me some ideas of what you would like to do, and if we do have too much dissent, then we can put it into a poll to decide ultimately what to do. If you are new to Twitch Tales, maybe you've watched the B Team campaign, maybe you've not watched any of the Noodle campaign yet. The way that I'm doing combat's a little different this time. Instead of moving it to Nightbot to do a single person chooses, we're staying in this kind of hive mind collective. And we're moving to single choice only if we can really not come to any kind of agreement. We're going to try and trip him, try and move away, try and leg sweep, try and topple him over, stun him, pants him, run past him, stunning strike, topple him, and then flurry of blows with advantage once he's down, throw him, knock him prone, stunning strike, intimidate the other guy, stun him. All right, so most people saying just try and stunning strike him. Poof! just immediately stun him. Some people saying try and trip him. So those, I think, are our main two options. More people are saying stunning strike, so if you want to try and trip him, you really need to argue your point. But I think most people saying, yeah, let's just stun him. Do we have stunning strike? Yep. All monks have stunning strike from level 5. We are playing 2024 rules. Which made me think, actually, there was something I just did that was... that I think might have been the other one. Can't remember. No, I think we're good. I think we're good on 2024 rules so far. Okay, yeah, most people saying stunning strike. So, we're first thing is going to be to attack him. That is dice cam again. That is a 13 on the dice. 13 plus your 7 for your attacks. You can see over there. Your unarmed strike, your dagger, your spear, they all use a plus 7. 13 plus 7 is 20. That is definitely going to hit. You're going to deal a d8 plus 4 damage, which is the same damage for whether you're using a dagger, a spear, or your unarmed strikes. So that is a d8 plus 4. That's 3 plus 4 is 7. 7 halved because he's raging. He takes 3.5, which rounds to 3. He takes 3 points of damage from your stunning strike, and then you expend one of your focus points to try and stun him. He gets to make a Constitution saving throw, which is terrible, but as a barbarian, as a bandit barbarian especially, he gets to remake it. That is his, plus his modifier is... That is a 14. What's your DC for your stunning strike? Does anybody remember? What's your DC? It would be 8 plus Dex plus... It would be 15, wouldn't it? Oh, with the Dragon Belt as well, I think it might be even 16. Your Dragon Belt gives you a buff to your monk ability stuff, doesn't it? So I think you are a 15 or 16 on your DC, which means he just fails it by 1, even with advantage on it. And immediately he is stunned. Not looking good for the bandits, apparently. So let's see if you can defend yourself. Swing and a miss. Swing and a miss. Gets really angry about it and goes into a rage. You just immediately and almost calmly just right from the hip upwards, just crack him right in the chin with a closed fist. Just like you see him just kind of stagger a little bit. He's not knocked out entirely, but he is now considered stunned. As you connect with him, it reduces his movement and all the other stuff. I forget the details of how Stunning Strike works in 2024. It's now something that still does something even if he succeeded the save. It reduces his speed or something. But if he fails the save, he's stunned until the start of your next turn. I think it used to be that he was stunned until the end of your next turn, but that was a bit too powerful, so they've nerfed it a bit. Bunk! First attack. Stuns the guy. Second, just like free action interact, you look past him and go, you want to keep going? I'm going to give you an intimidation check with advantage on that, even just for free. Let's go advantage, which is this one and this one. We have our Ernivora dice. You can see we've been using our wooden one, but with advantage I've got given this one as well, where if you get a nat 20 it says roar. So advantage on initiative, intimidation rather, on the other guy. That is a 10 or a 17. 17 plus your intimidation on the guy who is already intimidated. You see him start to, it's not his turn yet, but he starts to like move as if he's going to be like, ah shit, we've bitten off more than we can chew here. Definitely intimidated. Alright, so that was your first attack. Poof! You've got a second attack and a bonus action attack if you want to use it. What do you want to do? Rule of Cool says we need to walk away with a little nod to the smaller one, even if he doesn't register as an enemy. That would be pretty fun. Let's move away using all our movement, but still walking calmly. Do you want to use your second attack to just knock this big guy prone? Because currently he's raging, and if he comes out of the rage, he might be angry enough to just run after you. Tip him over now that he's stunned, it would be easier. At this point, it's actual ghosts. It's no other explanation. Yeah. Second attack, punch, bonus action, kick, flip him over. Second attack, topple him. Leg, sweep. I will tell you, after popping into the noodle chat in my Discord. This random encounter with bandits was specifically put in because people were talking about really wanting to use some noodle monk abilities, like leg sweep, and that one that I can't pronounce, that's the Tamo something throw. And I gave you this so that you can use some monk shit on some people and throw some fools around. So if you want to leg sweep somebody, now's your chance. Running away as a monk is so much fun. It's not the first time we've just dodged muggers. Put him to sleep, temper tantrum, throwing toddlers, get put to bed. Leg sweep. Alright, so first action. Whack! And it just stuns him under the chin. Intimidate. You still want to keep going? He's kind of like backing away, but not committing to something. You go, you just turn around, drop down low, bring the left heel around, and just smack it into the stunned guy's legs. You got advantage on the attack because he's stunned. Let's see how it goes. Dice cam on. Advantage on the attack. That is a 10 plus 7 is 17. 17 is enough. You hit him, and then with the 2024 rules of monks, when you hit somebody, you can choose to forego the damage to push them or knock them prone or whatever instead. So basically, that's what's going to happen. You turn around, leg sweep him out as he's stunned, hit him right in the back of the knee with your left ankle, and this guy just let's see, how does it work here? Status, knockdown. Poof! He's immediately knocked to the ground, and then you calmly use your movement to continue walking. You have 55 feet, so just like all the way over here, and then without even needing a bonus action dash, you can just keep going essentially. If you wanted to, you now have your bonus action. Bonus action to take a dash action, because you can do that as for free as a monk. You can also bonus action dodge, just so that you're not running, but if you want it, like if they try to chase you and attack, you've dodged at least. What do you want to do? Hey, right now we look cool, and if we nat one the second attack, we lose so many cool points. That's fair. Have a nice day, you say to the guy. I got my leg sweep in, we can book it now. Dash, but slowly. Alright, so you slowly dash as a bonus action. You slowly dash another 55 feet further up the path that you're walking. And thankfully for you, you beat enemy number 2 in the initiative order, who was a spellcaster. You also intimidated the shit out of him from both before you got into the fight, and then during your first round of the fight, you intimidated the shit out of the spellcaster, who was going to be firing some like firebolts and stuff your way as you ran, but now won't. Instead, is going to go to his big ally friend and like, snap out of it, man. Come on, get up, get on your feet. And well done, you managed to avoid the random encounter with 2 bandits. I'll also say, now that you've evaded that encounter, I'll also tell you that well done on not flashing your cash in the scabbard, because although the scabbard has got a very good reputation, people don't start fights in the scabbard, but they do take note of who's got money, and then they follow them out into the path when they're adventuring elsewhere. And so those 2 drunk dwarves at the bar, they were also not so nice ruffian types, and they would have come after you if they'd have realised that you had a lot of money. But you did a good job of like specifically telling me that you weren't flashing your cash around and you were keeping it to yourself that you had money, and so the dwarves didn't join this fight, because otherwise it would have been these 2 bandits and then the dwarves coming up from behind, and you would have had to fight 4 of them at once. So good job. Your choice is coming back to help you out there. As you move further into the path, then you move all the way to the end of the flatlands and into the foothills of the mountain up Walkarak. It is, let's see, it was going to be, you set off late morning, and it is going to be 4-ish hours, so about 4 in the afternoon or so when you arrive at the foothills of the mountain. Do you want to head up the mountain a little further? Because you still have a few hours left of your day. You can still move for another 2 or 3 hours of climbing this mountain before you start to feel fatigued and exhausted and trying to get your place to sleep. Or do you want to hold up now and do some downtime stuff? This is like another hour or so after the random encounter you just had, so it's not like they're just going to catch up with you or anything. Oh, we should have told them that we got beat up by a girl. Yeah, we cut back to that moment and say, "Have a nice day, eh?" And then you walk away and you go, "Oh, also, fellas, I'm not a fella. Learn the difference between male and female herbivora. You got beat up by a girl," and then walk away. All right. Most people saying nap and hold up. Is there a way station or a waterhole type area? Not on the way to Stanhan, no. We should rest here, prep to travel at night. Okay. Start a rest early so we can do our death planes travel during the night. You can absolutely do so. So you start to rest here. There's not much in the way of random encounters on the path. There's no like monsters and stuff because the Knights of Kavosna do specifically monitor the paths between the major cities of Drenwheel. And so the bandits have to be like, basically they have to be opportunistic. They also just kind of roam up and down the paths, and when there's not a knight around, they go, "Oh, let's quickly grab this guy," and then move on again. They don't like hang out in a single spot, and so my point is you're probably not going to be worried about random encounters on the paths between cities. You set up a little camp for yourself then. You've got a few hours of downtime before night ticks around. If you do anything too energy strenuous, then you are going to start worrying about time when you travel into the night. But as long as you're doing nothing too energy draining, you should be fine. How much water have we used? Only like half of a water skin at this point. We should look for one from a mapping point of view where one could be in the future. Excellent. All right, let's do your little investigation of the area using your cartography knowledge. So I'll give you the proficiency of cartography in this. I'll just go wisdom +3, so you've got a +6 to the roll. Actually, sorry, it's your roll, not my roll, so I will switch you over to dice cam. This +6, 18 +6. As soon as we're out of combat, rolling well again, look. With a 24, you are doing a good job of sort of mapping the area just mentally more than anything. Looking at your map of Drenwheel, looking at the path between, looking at where you are and thinking this would make a good place for like a way station, like one of the cabins that you've heard of with the Pancampur and Amgulshed, the Warriors of the Wilderness, the rangers that place like little cabins for people to stop at. You think, yeah, right here at the foothills of the mountain, maybe, and you mark it on your map. Maybe there's maybe a possible place for a way station to somebody to rest in before they start the trek up this mountain range. So you do a little sketching for a little bit. You just do some writing. Maybe this is where you're writing your story. Maybe this is where you're writing your letters to your sisters. And then once a few hours go by, you've still got a few hours of adventure left before you're tired for the night, and you start heading up the mountain. Up Lake Welcrack, there's not a lot of monsters. There's a few like real life beasties like mountain goats and stuff, and a few hawks overhead and things like that. A couple of times you see some rabbits and things, but mostly it's just a bit of a trek. Thankfully, being so tall, you've got long legs, and so the climbing over rocks and the hiking aspect of it doesn't take too much out of you. I will have you make a Constitution save just to see how you are doing towards the end of that hike, because it is a good like 38 kilometers of hiking, and you can't walk at your normal like 10 kilometers an hour speed when you're going up a mountain like this. That wasn't the start of a long rest. It was. What I'm essentially doing, because you guys are trying to offset your nighttime travel, what I'm essentially doing is I'm bringing half of your long rest into that time just then. You did 4 hours of half of a long rest, and then you can walk for a bit, break up the long rest, and then have another 4 hours later. Sort of napping through the day, essentially, rather than long resting at once. Because mechanically, you can't just will yourself to go to sleep. Mechanically, you can't take a long rest more than once every 24 hours. And story-wise, you also can't just will yourself to go to sleep in the middle of the day, because you're like, oh, I need to be awake tonight, so I'm just going to have a 4-hour sleep right now. You're like, you've got circadian rhythm. It's it's still afternoon. It's still light out. You can't just choose to go, and I'm asleep now. Can't press a sleep button. Boop. I'm sure that we wish that we could sometimes. So I was like, you just did not much. You did a little sketching. Maybe you had a little nap. You drank some water and did nothing, not much. Just allowed your body to literally just rest. And then you had the first half of what will be a long rest for later. Constitution save from you just to see how well you are doing by the end of the climb up the mountain. Ooh, nat 1. You have a nat 1 on that, plus your Constitution save of 0. Thumbs up, thumbs down if you want to use a luck point to reroll a nat 1 con save by the time you are climbing the mountain. Use a lucky point. Lucky points don't recharge on a short rest, but they do recharge on a long rest. Yes, absolutely yes. A lot of people saying yes, reroll the lucky. So you reroll with lucky. You get a 18, much better. 18 on the con save means that you do not get a level of exhaustion by the end of your climbing the mountain. You are now at the end of essentially what is a day of adventuring. You've had half of a long rest, so you can probably push into the like 2, 3, maybe 4 if you're lucky, depending on how well you're rolling. You can push a few hours into the night now if you want to. By this point, it is nightfall, and you are now at the edges of the Death Plains. You are far up the mountain, Mount Walkerak. You have got basically a crossroads. I'll show you actually. If I go back over to the combat, I'll show you the tail spire. There we are. So you have continued up the mountain. You've continued up further and further. You get further up the mountain until you get to a point where there is a crossroads, like so. And you can see that there is a bit of a signpost to this crossroads. One that is pointing up towards the right, that is well used, and the signpost says on it, to the summit. And that is the path that is much more steep, which is why you can tell the wagons and the carriages don't really take it. But it is the safer of the paths because you don't go through the Death Plains. And then this area says, well, it would say Death Plains, but the sign has not been maintained. It's all sort of crumbled off. And that's the direction you're going to go. It is now nightfall. It is getting dark. You are now relying on your low light vision. Let me also roll for weather to see if it's a cloudy night or whether there's enough moonlight and such out as well. It is not exactly clear, but it is not exactly cloudy. It's there are patches, there are times of the clouds parting, and there will be times when it's very cloudy. Let me just double check the timeline to see what time of the year it is and whether there is actually a full moon or not right now. You are currently on, you set off from there on Fin Day, you arrived at Holdover, it's now Wild Day. Wild Day the 10th means that it is just after a waxing half moon, which means that it's not a full moon, but you've got a little light. It's the day after a waxing half moon, which means that there's enough light out when the clouds part. There is enough light out that you can see relatively well. When the clouds are covering the moon, you are definitely relying on low light vision to see anything up to like 20 meters away. Make note of the broken sign on our map. Very good. These little details, very good that you picked up on it. I am going to be peppering little details throughout the Death Plains to see the sorts of things that you as a cartographer should be taking note of. And basically there's a whole bunch of them. And you don't need to catch every single one, but depending on what details you do catch about the plains will change like how well you've done as a cartographer essentially. So you have indeed picked up on the fact that the sign needs fixing. Okay, so you are now at the point where you've got a couple hours of darkness ahead of you, a couple hours of night before you start to feel like you need to take a long rest. You're going to push on into the Death Plains from here. This is the point of no return at this point. Well, point of return, but it's the point of the threshold to the Death Plains. We'll take the low road and I'll be in Scotland before you. Can we finish our long rest now, 4 hours, and then travel through? You can do that if you want. finish the long rest now and then pass through in the later into the evening? Is that what we want to do? Thumbs up if you want to now just rest right here at the edge of the Death Plains for the last 4 hours. Finish that long rest. Get some things back like your focus points and lucky charms. Well, your lucky clover does recharge at dawn, I said, not the end of long rest. But if you want to have your long rest, you can do so now. Thumbs up in the chat if that's what you want to do. Otherwise, thumbs down if you want to continue pushing in. All right. It's always the right time for a little nap. Perfect. So you are going to finish your long rest right here at the edge of the Death Plains, which is very smart because at the edge of the Death Plains there's no random encounter rolls because nobody's coming this way, so you're not going to get attacked by bandits, and the monsters are in the Death Plains, not at the edge of them. So very good place to rest. It's one of the almost confusingly, it's one of the safest places you can actually rest. Can we feel the heat of the Death Plains, or is it more gradual? It's a more gradual thing. You can't feel it feels like a warm night, but it's not weirdly warm at the point that you're currently standing. All right, so you stay where you are at the edge of the Death Plains. You're going to finish a long rest. I'm going to just take back 2 of those lucky points though, because you've used them and they recharge on dawn. And for 4 hours, you sleep. You sleep the first 4 hours of the night because you rested so well before earlier in the day. You don't sleep for much more than that. You naturally sort of come to after you've had enough that your body needed it. You've regained your hit points and your hit dice and everything else than anything else that you've spent. Not that you lost any in that fight. And it is in the, let's see, it would be around 2-ish in the morning. It's about 2 in the morning. Let's see if the weather's changing at all. It's getting a little more cloudy, which is going to make it slightly harder to see. The clouds, however, the clouds would be on the east of you from where you are currently. Whatever that means to you. What do you want to do? It's 2 in the morning, you've woken up, you've finished your long rest, you've got everything that you've got on your person. Your job is to map the Greater Death Plains. You're relying mostly on your low light vision. I'm actually nervous at the thought of going in now. Can we hear anything? All right, so as you wake up and you pack your bedrolls away and such, we'll do a predatory patience pause to see if you can hear anything. Dice cam, predatory patience gives you advantage. That's a 16 or a 12. We'll go with the 16. 16 plus your proficiency and wisdom is a 22. 22. You hear the sound of far distant howling that seems to be echoing up from the mountainside in the direction that you're facing, like Walkerak. That's the Death Plains of Walkerak. And so you can tell that there are dogs. You've heard that there are packs of dogs that roam the Death Plains, and you are pretty sure you can hear some of them. You can hear the whistling of wind. It is a relatively windy place to stand, even though you are on the leeward side of the mountain range proper, the Drenwheel Ranges. With the heat exchange of the Death Plains, a lot of heat rises there, which brings in from anywhere surrounding the Death Plains, sucks in a lot of colder air to replace it. And so it does tend to be a pretty windy place. So you can definitely hear a lot of wind, and you are upwind of it, as it were. You will also see in the night, I suppose, with your predatory patience of 22. You'll also see in the far distance, like down the mountain from where you're currently standing and looking, down in that direction of the Death Plains, you can see like far distant glowing embers of like a far distant firestorm that is somewhere burning in the Death Plains. No time to waste. The night is fleeting. We don't want to be there when the day starts getting hot. That is correct. If it takes 4 hours to traverse while mapping, slow travelling, then we can get through before dawn. Hopefully, yeah. Even if it takes 6 hours from here, it'll take you to 8 in the morning, so you're probably good. Should we chug a potion as we go in? The fire resistance potion gives you 1 hour of fire resistance. So maybe you want to drink it now, or maybe you want to head into the Death Plains and wait until you actually need it, and hope that you don't just immediately suddenly fall upon a fire elemental or something. Eat half rations and start on our way. Alright, so you finish off the one water skin of... you finish off one of the water skins. So I will just... I'll pop that over to the side a little bit further to show that this one's empty. These 5 are still full. You eat some of your rations. I'm not keeping track of rations as much as I am water for this. And then you set off into the Death Plains, making sure you've got your leather shoes on, your leather slippers, as it were. Half the time when I try and forcibly reverse my sleep cycle, I wake up with a headache. Tell me your secrets, Noodle. Calmness and meditation, I think. Monk abilities. How's the road? Is it cleared out or crumbly? It is rocky. It is relatively clear, though, because the firestorms don't tend to rage this high up the mountain. And so it doesn't bring with it a lot of dust and debris. And so the road's definitely rock, but it's got like a thick layer of finer and finer grain and sand and rock that has been placed on it by people who tried to make this road back in the day and make it usable for carts to travel on. I say let's save the fire resistance for when we really need it. It'll only last for an hour. Yeah. Can we travel along the edge of the Death Plains first so we can map out the border? So how it works, let me, is it best to use I think I can show it on the map. Let me show you the map and see if you can see it. The Death Plains look like this. You are up here. The mouth of the Death Plains is Lake Welkarak, which is at the top of the volcano, and a dormant volcano Welkarak. Way back in the day, Welkarak erupted, and the lava flow came down here, and the lava flow pooled around in weird places and stuff as it made its way to the coast and created all these like islands and stuff. So this is what's created. It's created by volcanic eruption back in the day. So basically, you're way up on the top of the tip here, and you're heading around the crater to try and just map this path right here. So you're not doing a lot of like border checking at this point. The border of Welkarak and the border of the Death Plains are pretty well mapped. It's inside of the Death Plains that is the problem. Is the path sturdy or more like it's got washed out over time? It's not been washed out because rainfall just does not happen in the Death Plains because of the heat. The heat rises and then the clouds form and move away from the... when it does rain, it gets very hot rain. Is the lake lava or water? The lake is just water. The lake is outside of the Death Plains, and so it's just normal water. Well, that people know of. So let's start making notes of all the stuff before we go in. Indeed. So you start to note the area where it starts to get... making note. Note the entrance to the Death Plains. There's no like... Now entering the Death Plains. There's no signpost. Population. There's no gateway. There's no signpost other than the one that you said that like this way to the Death Plains. Other than that sign that you've already noted, there's no like specific threshold transition. It just gradually becomes hotter, becomes drier. You notice that the plant life starts to get more gorse-like and more hard, more woody, more petrified kind of dead plants. The animal life that you're noticing starts to disappear a little bit. Some of there's a lot fewer bugs. There's a lot fewer smaller creatures. Some of the larger, more predatory animals, vultures and stuff, will be able to survive and circle a little bit looking for stuff. But other than that, there's not much in the way of life forms as you walk in. For curiosity, what kind of volcano are you talking? Taupo, Ruapehu? What kind? Like, are you asking what kind of volcano? Like a conical volcano or a... I don't remember my geography from back in high school, the different types of volcano. It's definitely a conical volcano. I'm thinking like Vesuvius, for instance. Talking about danger level, is a dormant volcano. It hasn't erupted for a long time. It's not extinct, though, as far as the people of this world know. And if it did erupt, it would be incredibly dangerous to everybody in Drenwheel. What damage it caused in the past? A lot. It created the Death Plains. The lava flow from Welkarak erupting created the Death Plains. which was incredibly disruptive to all of Drenwheel. All right, topographical landmarks. You will start to take note of any that you come across, but right now you don't see any. One thing for it, let's move in and start mapping. All right, so as you move, you are going to be rolling. Cartography checks. So because you chose to do so at night and you are relying on low light vision, and unfortunately it's relatively cloudy, you're going to be having disadvantage on this. So disadvantage on your ability to see. You got a nat 20 or a 9. We're going to take that 9. And you're going to start with your cartography, which is going to be, I think, your... It doesn't rely on your dexterity at this point. I think I'll allow it to be wisdom though, so I'll add 6 to that. So 15. A 15 check onto your first cartography check. You're doing a pretty good job. Now, a 15 is above average. Around here the volcanoes are ash, not lava. Does that one have ash and lava? Oh yeah. Yeah, Walkerak definitely erupted with both ash and lava. Sounds like Krakatoa. Yeah, Krakatoa I think is one of the sorts of volcanoes I was thinking of for it. While we walk through it, let's also keep an eye out signs for intelligent life. Very good. That was one of the other tick points, Redial. You have picked up on the fact that when it comes to mapping, it's not only about noticing whether or not there are landmarks and differences and problems to the road, but there's also like noting down if there are people living in this area. 2 people at the tavern mentioned being captured. Yes, they did. Well done on picking that up. Signs of intelligent life. So you are at least looking out for that. Whether or not you notice it will be another thing. This is the longest game of the floor is lava. Yeah. The volcanic eruption not bringing plant nourishing minerals is worth noticing. Yes, that is not a mistake on my part. That is a world building choice that has reasons for it that I won't go into because that would be spoiling things that you don't know about in game yet. Volcanoes are often incredibly lush when dormant. Yes, they are. And the other side of Walkerak is, or at least it was before the city was raised. What's the flora like? Some sort of cacti, I suppose? Yes. There's not much in the way of flora. There's a lot of petrified wood. Petrified wood that seems to still be growing somehow. But you're not a botanist, so the chances of you working out what that means is quite low. Noting down wildlife as well. You are noting down wildlife. That is already noted that there is basically none. As you move the first 20 minutes or so, as you're taking note of things, measuring stuff as best you can in the low light, you're starting to wonder, was it a bad idea to do this at night time? Because sure, it's going to be cooler, but it's going to be harder for me to actually map long distance things on this. I suppose long distance doesn't matter. Maybe it's just the immediate vicinity around the path that matters. So you're stopping to sketch. You're getting out that portable board that you have to draw things on. You're doing your best to map out the path, the little twists and turns and divots and diversions that it takes as well. I'll make a... No, I won't. I'll wait till you point it out. You then, at the end of each 20 minutes journey through the Death Plains, I'm going to have to roll to see how hot it's getting. For reasons, I have a -2 on this. Not 20, -2. So it's pretty hot pretty quickly, it seems. I need a Constitution saving throw from you to see how well you are bearing against the heat as it starts to rise. It might not be, depending on your roll, it might not be enough to take damage from it, so you might not want to take your potion yet. But let's find out. At the end of the first 20 minutes in here, Constitution, how well is your body holding up to the heat? You have a +0 Constitution, and that is a 13 on the dice. I will tell you that you are starting to feel the heat of Walkerak. It is like it's like this heat coming from the volcanic rock beneath you, as if it has been heated up during the day and then is now radiating it from you. You can also feel the heat that's coming up the mountain because hot air rises. A lot of the much hotter part of the Death Plains, which is the further down from the mountain that you go, it gets hotter and hotter and hotter. All of that heat is now rising and going up the mountainside towards you. So it is starting to get hot. With a 13, you're definitely not taking damage from it yet, but you do know that your body is now starting to heat up and your homeostasis is starting to get out of whack. If I roll high again on the next heat check after another 20 minutes, you're going to definitely start taking heat damage from it. So it's up to you whether or not you want to take your potion now, or take one of your heat potions now, or whether you still want to wait until later. Keep track of the quality of the path, the width of it, the smoothness, anything that would be trouble for carts. Well done, Calamire, specifically keeping in mind how carts will fare. How carts will fare on the path. So you're trying to keep in sign. You picked up on the sign needing fixing. You've you've taken note of where the border seems to be into it and whether that seems to have shifted. You're keeping an eye out for signs of intelligent life, and you're keeping an eye out for whether the signs will, whether carts specifically will fare well on the path or not, and what sort of carts specifically. How wide a cart can fit through, and how many animals to pull each cart and such. All right, the end of that round. So the end of that round, as it were, like a 20-minute round. You've done your cartography check. I've done my heat check. Now I need a random encounter check. Random encounter check to see if you are encountered by any of the roaming dogs or beasts or rocks or fire elementals or hawks or eagles or terrain difficulties or blah 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 blah. Okay, and then this one is... Oh, alright. It seems like after about 20 minutes of going, you encounter your first major problem. It is not an encounter in such of like a creature that attacks, but you did notice that there is a huge chunk of rock that has seemingly succumbed to a landslide. There is, and I rolled for it and got a 9 on the d10. So there is a 90-foot chasm of sorts, a 90-foot landslide that has just taken out a chunk of the path in front of you. It is currently only about 6 feet wide. So there is a 6 foot wide section of the path of the road that has got a huge chunk of it that slid down about 90 feet down the path to the side. That is definitely going on the map. Yeah. So you've noticed that down. You're like, okay, this is where we're at. They've got a path that there's going to need to be a bridge part put in here before it can be useful for using as carts. What kind of heat is it? Dry? Very dry. Very dry and windy. Like there's a definite crosswind as the heat is rising. It is rising up the mountain and bringing with it quite a hot wind, which means that it's heating you currently. It's like fan-forced oven. Should be lower chances, right? Just the tip. Yeah, there is lower chances. Like that, I've accounted for that each trip. So basically, I will tell you. I won't be able to find it right now and show you on screen, but I'll find it and put it in the Discord later. I've got a map of the death plains that is dotted lines around each region. There is a region that is considered the tip. There is a region of the canyon. There is a canyon in the middle of the death plains that a river runs through. A hot boiling water river runs through it, where a lot of salamanders and stuff live. Then there is a region below that where the fire giants live. There's a region where the red dragon lives, and so on and so on and so on. And each one has different ratios of the amount of heat that they have, the amount of the sorts of random encounters and stuff. The tip is the safest part of it. It does have the lowest chances of random encounters. But lowest doesn't mean none in the death plains. Exertion caused biological heat. Walking at a moderate pace is important for keeping homeostasis. Yes, well, you're walking at a relatively slow pace, thankfully. So after marking down that you have come across this canyon, this chasm, this landslide, write down the exact measurements. You study it as best you can. That's all taken account for your 15 cartography check for this round. What do you want to do about it? How do you actually get across yourself? We're going to need to get our fur conditioned when we get out of here. With the wind, is it really dusty? It is dusty, but that's not a problem yet. Fading to blue. That is one of the random encounters that can happen. Is that a dust storm can kick up. So it's not yet bringing with it enough dust to be a problem to you, but that is something that could possibly happen. There might be another spa in Steinhorn. There will be. Yeah. Sparrow suggested cross-checking notes that read. I'll suggest maybe revisiting during the day quicker. If you want to turn around and go back, you can, and come back during the day. Or Sparrow, you cross-check your notes. What notes have you got to cross-check with? Your immediate trouble is you've got an encounter which is like a terrain encounter. What do you want to jump over? Do you want to jump over it? Do you want to try and put something down to go around? You can also go around it, but that just adds on time, which means more time is every 20 minutes you're doing a check against heat, random encounters, and terrain problems and things like that. Can we walk the same path by day after we're done mapping at night? We can also make note of which one is better and keep eye on both during night and day. Yeah, absolutely, you can if you want, but you're currently in the night time, so we'll do that. We'll stick with night for now. If we have to come back this way and it's smart to do it in the day for comparison's sake, I wonder if we should save the potions for the return journey. You don't have to come back this way if you don't want. If you want to go up to Stanhon, you're then expected to continue on north. You're not meant to be coming back towards the town, towards the capital to report or anything. What are our chances of jumping it? Well, you have a -1 strength. So I will tell you how jumping works in D&D, and I don't think this is something that's changed in 2024 rules, but please do tell me if it has. Long jumping. If you take a running long jump, meaning you have 10 foot start, you can take a running long jump and you can move your strength score in feet. Your strength score is, I think, 8. It's either 8 or 9 because you've got a -1 modifier. I think you've got an 8 strength, which means that you can jump 8 feet without needing to make a check. So if you took a 10-foot run up, you can jump over a 6-foot gap without needing to make a check. But I will tell you, if the rock is crumbly, either before or after, if, say, you have a 1 foot of crumbly rock right up against the edge, and then you've got 1 foot of crumbly rock on the other side of the ledge, and you want to avoid those, then you'll just be able to make an 8-foot jump without landing. You could, as some people are suggesting, activate 1 charge out of your 6 charges of your strength wraps, and then you can jump 16 feet without needing to make a jump, without needing to make a check. Is the air poisonous from the gas that's released from the volcano? Not at the moment, Madrid, but again, you've touched on one of the things that can happen as a difficulty in the death planes. One of the things is poisonous gas. It's a chasm. I thought it was a rock. No, a landslide has happened and taken out a section of the path, like a 6-foot wide section of the path has slid out and gone down 90 feet down the mountain side. It's 6 foot. We could jump it, but let's wraps for safety. All right, most people saying wraps. So you take a good step back. You go back a good like 10, 12, 15 feet from the edge. You make sure you put your cartography tools away. You've sealed up. You've closed off the bag and like wrapped up the bag so that nothing's going to fall out when you jump. You bring your hands up and you think about using them for strength. You sort of do some wrist exercises and you feel it starting to surge through you as you activate one of the charges. You start to feel stronger. You start to even see some of your muscles build up a little bit more. You now feel like you're more in proportion for what a bear person probably should be or is expected to look like. And then boom, 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 you run and jump, and easily without an issue you manage to land on the other side of the chasm, the canyon, the very, very small gap in the road. You are past it and you have 10 minutes of strong strength. You're now on the other side into the next 20-minute gap. Well done. You've done the first 20 minutes into your journey across this. You were moving at half speed, 5-foot speed essentially. So you can go at, I'll say for argument's sake of mathematics, we'll go at 6 kilometers an hour. For 20 minutes is 2 kilometers. So you've gone 2 kilometers into an 18-kilometer journey. On the other side, we're going to roll again for how well you're doing at cartography. Let's go, cartography. 2. We've got a 2 on our cartographer roll here. Unless you want to roll with lucky, that's going to be an 8 total, because you've got a +6 to your modifier. So do we want to go with an 8 on our cartography roll for this second section, or do we want to lucky it with a lucky clover? We're not used to the strength and it's throwing us off. Yeah. Reroll it with lucky. The lucky points reset on dawn, and it is now like 2:30 in the morning. Alright, so rerolling with lucky. I'm going to open up the dice cam. Boop. Here we go. That is a 12. 12 is much better. 12 plus 6 is 18. So you get an 18 on the second section of your cartography. Not that far in, we only have 2 left. Yeah, but you also have a hero point if you need it. And you also reset if you can last until dawn with only 1 left. Alright, so you jump over the thing. You start cartographizing. How well are we doing on heat? Got a -1 now. Alright, it seems like a cool spot has struck you. It is not hot enough to cause damage. That heat wave that hit you in that first 20 minutes, that was obviously something that was coming up from the mountainside. It seems like you've entered a patch of coolness. Maybe some of the firestorm has used up a lot of the heat, and then as the firestorm died down, maybe with it a lot of the cool air that's rushing into the death planes to replace the heat that's rising. Maybe a lot of that cool air is still in the process of heating up, and so it's not actually hot on you. Because I rolled a 2, and with reasons I had a -1 to it, so that was a 1 on the d20 for how hot it is right now. You do not need to make a Constitution saving throw. Note this cool spot down on the map. I'll say it's a cool spot more in temporal spot, not positional. It's not always going to be cool in this spot. Is the path clearly visible? Seems unlikely with dust winds happening here. It's not clearly visible because it's nighttime and relatively cloudy. Thankfully, with your vision, it's clear enough that you can tell where the path is. Rob, what are the reasons? You'll find out, maybe. All right, end of that 20 minutes. You don't need to make a con save, so now I need to roll for random encounter. Random encounter. Thankfully, nothing happens on this random encounter. Luckily, you're up near the tip of the death plains, and so you landed in the slightly larger window of nothing happens. Can we note the temporal pattern of the coolness, maybe? Alright, so nothing happens for that next 20 minutes. You are now 40 minutes into your journey. You have now moved another 2 kilometers, so you're now 4 kilometers into the journey. The level of tension I'm feeling over drawing a map is so unreasonable. Are the clouds made up of ash? We should check that by daylight. You can't tell it by night, but it's a good point to check it in the daylight. Caution, high winds. Alright, here we go. Dice cam, we are going to move for the 3rd section of 20 minutes. At the end of this, you will have moved for a full hour through the death plains. That is a 5 on the dice. That is a 5 on the dice, plus 6 is an 11. Are we happy with an 11, or do you want to use your last lucky point to re-roll a 5? Keep it. Fancy says use the hero point, because it's almost at the end of the session, and we might as well use it because we get it back at the next session anyway. If you use a hero point rather than a lucky point, then it is just turns it into an automatic nat 20. Hero point, anyone against using the hero point? You do get it back at the start of every session rather than every dawn. Hero points are more of a meta tool rather than an in-game tool. Hero point! Alright, most people saying hero point it. We will heroically turn that 5 into a nat 20. So you get a 26 from your 3rd 20-minute section as you walk through the death plains. That is on your cartography. That is on how well you are doing at picking up signs of intelligent life, how well carts will fare on the path, how visible the path is. Somebody has actually mentioned, and I forgot to say a note of that, how visible the path is. How visible path is under the dust. And where the borders of the death plane seem to be. So well done. You're picking up on a lot of stuff with that last 20-minute roll, but that is irrespective of how hot it is and what sort of dangers there are. So now we are at a straight d20 roll with no modifiers on how hot it is. Let's do that again. Okay. I need a Constitution saving throw from you as it's getting quite hot. Constitution save from you, dice cam. 6. A 6 on your con save, plus 0 from your con save modifier. is a total of 6. Do you want to use your last lucky point? Do you want to use your last lucky point to re-roll that con save, or do you want to start taking heat damage? What time is it? It's about 3 in the morning. And you've moved about 6 kilometers into an 18-kilometer journey through the Death Plains. Drink the potion, drink the potion, drink the potion, drink the potion. You still have a long way to go, people say. Drink the potion. It doesn't seem like there's many people opposed to the idea of a potion. Oh, Fancy's saying hold on to the potion. Take the damage and just keep going. Alright, thumbs up, thumbs down on drinking one of the fire resistance potions. You realise it's now getting hot in this moment and you will start taking heat damage. It's going to be hotter in the day, we'll need it more then. A lot of people saying we've got a lot of health, use those health as resource. Fair enough. Alright, so not drinking the potion, we think about it. It's getting hot in that last 20 minutes. You're doing a good job of cartographizing, which is definitely a word. You feel like you're mapping it out as best you can in the low light and everything. But it's getting hot. Towards the end of it, you realise you've been sort of hyper-focusing on the cartography side of things and not on the regulating your heat side of things. You think about taking your fire potion, but instead you're like, no, just swig some of the water. You swig back some of the water, you are going to suffer 2 points of fire damage from this 20 minutes. And that was a d6. Fire damage, yes. Fire damage, no. Fire damage, no. Fire damage, yes. And that was 1d6. Alright, so with that third 20 minutes gone, you take 1d6 fire damage, which turned into just 2, thankfully. Whew, it's getting to you a little bit, but it's certainly not a lot. It's fine. Just a flesh wound. Don't hate that. That's fine. Not bad yet, anyway. Okay, so continue on into the next 20-minute chunk. We're going to roll for you to get a... Sorry, wait, no, that was heat. Need random encounter. Random encounter at the end of that third section. Okay, and then the last one is... Okay. Rolling every 20 minutes for a 3 to 4 hour journey. Yeah, the Death Plains are rough. The Death Plains are the death of many adventurers. My entire team of 4 players at level, I think they were like level 9 or something at the time, all of them, with magical items, they nearly died several times in the Death Plains. It was a tough journey. And you are a solo player at level 6 with very few magic items. Thankfully, that's why you were told, stay in the safest part, please. And here's some potions. It's not reassuring. Yeah, the Death Plains are called Death Plains for a reason. They're a very dangerous place to play. There's a reason the king, with all of his resources, has not mapped it properly yet. They're not the staying cool and alive plains, no. Unfortunately, as you are panting, I don't think bears have sweat glands, do they? So you're trying to cool down. You drink, let's say, I think just half of one of your water skins. So you've got 4.5 full water skins left, and this one's half used. You use half your water skins to try and cool down, try and replenish some of that moisture you're losing through your breath. And that's when you hear, and suddenly your bare ears perk out towards the mountain again, out towards the darkness outside of your low light vision. And you realise, oh, there it is. You pause for a second, you use your predatory patience, you listen out, and yep, that's definitely dogs. That's definitely some kind of wolves, some canines, something. You were told there were packs of them in the Death Plains. It seems that they are starting to come your way. That is your random encounter for this 20-minute journey. You have encountered a pack of dogs. Right now they are outside of your low light vision, your 20-meter vision. so you have a chance to react in some way. You don't know how many there are. If you want to use your moment of preparation to actually do a proper perception check, see if you can pick up on how many there are, then you can do that. If you want to do something else, you can do that. If you want to try and intimidate them, growl, anything like that, you can do that. What is it you want to do? Want to growl back? We found a puppy friend. Convince them to pose so that we can draw them. How many puppies can we tell? You can do that if you want to. You can basically do 1 or 2 things in preparation before they become a potential problem to you. And if one of those things is try and work out how many there are, then that's a very valid thing to do. Don't pet that dog. Can I pet that dog? Can we try and hide? Can we try and intimidate? Can we dash? Okay, so here's what I'm hearing. Hide is one option. Try and growl and intimidate them is another option. Stay quiet and try and work out how many there are is a third option. Or try and run and get past them. That's another option. Is there any other thing that you want to do? If it's not a friend, why is it friend-shaped? I feel like a good roar would put an end to it. Team get the fuck out. Team intimidate. Alright, I'm not hearing any further options, so I'm going to put those 4 options into a poll and you guys are going to decide what to do. Intimidate, run, hide, or determine numbers, or perceive. I'll put perceive. Intimidate, run, hide, or perceive. You have 1 minute to decide. Yes, I spelled what and perceive wrong. There may be. I'm basically going to give you one thing to do for free, and then I'm going to roll to see how they respond to that. And depending on how they respond to that, you might get a second round to do something for free as well. Or they might just straight up attack or run away or whatever, depending on what you do and how successful you are at it. Nice typos. I'm so proud of you. You're welcome. Running's never a good idea with predators, but they are dogs, not cats. You are very fast. You could probably outrun a pack of dogs. But if you try to outrun them, then you are no longer moving at a slow pace through the death plains, which will be accounted for your stealth score, your passive stealth score, which I've been keeping a track of. It will also be accounted for with your cartography rolls of like how well you are mapping out the area you're sprinting through. And it will also be accounted for in your perception of your area around you, which your passive perception will be affected by you sprinting. Alright, so 71% of you, there's certain areas of parts of your brain that's thinking like, maybe we should run, maybe we should just stop and perceive how many there are. But overwhelmingly, your brain is telling you, it doesn't matter how many there are creatures here and I need to scare them away. So you're going to try and intimidate. Most people agreed that you're just going to like growl. Are you going to roar like a bear? Is that how you're going to do it? How do you want to intimidate? Do you want to just bring your hackles up, bring your hair and your body stature, make yourself look big? You do not have the charge of your strength thing anymore because it's been more than 10 minutes since that. A deep, loud roar. Be big and roar. Full on bear mode. Roar loudly. Yeti screech. Yeti screech. Alright, so we're going to do an intimidation check with a big roar. You're going to use your intimidating insights, which will give you the the intimidation proficiency onto this, which is your charisma. I would say it's more constitution based because of the guttural growling, but your charisma is better than your con. I won't be mean. I'll allow you to use your charisma for it. You don't have advantage on it. You just have proficiency because of intimidating insights. All right. Dice cam. Here we go. That is a 16 plus 4 is a dirty 20. Big growl, we bigger than them, deep but not loud if we can. Very deep but not super loud, not a roar. We don't want to attract the attention of everything. A lot of people were saying roar, and I was paying attention to that. How much things in the area might be either attracted to or intimidated by a massive roar. So, a low growl, a low, deep, loud enough for them to hear, but not loud enough to echo out of the mountainside, erupts from you with this this dirty 20. And as you do so, let's see how they respond. Not well. Not well from them anyway. You hear a immediate whimper from them, and then they turn and run. With your passive perception from roaring over the top of it and anything that sort of echoes off of the immediate stonework around you, it makes it harder to tell with your perception. You're not proficient in perception, and you didn't take an action to do penetrations, so you weren't able to tell as they whimper and run away how many there were. But I will tell you that it was more than 2. But you were successful in intimidating them. Well done. They did run away. So that one was chasm first, and then it was nothing, and then it was dogs. And you're 1 hour into your journey. Well done. This dog that attacked us couldn't speak. The dogs that were attacking you could not speak, no. I would tell you more about them, but there's a very good chance that they will come back before you've left the Death Plains, so I'm going to keep that under wraps for now. Make a note of them. You note down the dogs. All right. Noting dangers of the area. Well done. Noting dangers of the area. You've noticed down the dangers. You've noticed the chasms. Pick up a stick, the next pack that we'll play with. Yes, go get it. Go get it. Good boys. All right. We're going to go one more round of this, and then maybe we'll call it there for the episode. Depending on what the random encounter is, it might end up landing us on a bit of a cliffhanger. Let's see. Okay, next round of cartography. You've taken a little bit of heat damage now. Cartography is a 14. 14 plus 6 is a dirty 20. So you're doing a very good job of mapping, at least. Currently, over the 4 sections of mapping every 20 minutes, you've done 15, 18, 26, 20. So, if nothing else, if you survive the journey through the Death Plains, you have done a very good job of mapping it out, and that will be illustrated in how good your map is reflected on the other end of things. So, the thing you're being paid to do, you're doing well. It's just now a matter of whether you can survive the journey through the Death Plains. Give them a worming tablet. They'll come back to fight with you in the end fight, right? All right. Heat roll. How hot is it getting? This is now a d20 plus 1. That is enough to need a con save from you. It is now continued to be hot enough to require a con save. Your con save is an 18 plus 0, which is good. 18 plus 0 is enough to succeed, which means you are going to take half damage from the heat that is waving up the mountain towards you. That's right, even on a success, you are going to take half damage from the heat. If you wanted to take your fire resistance potion, you would take a quarter of the heat that's coming in. Do you want to take it or not? Thumbs up, thumbs down on taking a fire resistance potion now. It lasts for 1 hour. So far, a companion on this journey would have been more trouble than they're worth, I think. I strongly agree. We're still able to tank the damage, so people saying no, don't bother taking the potion yet. So again, you're like, whew, this is hot, this is hot. I think I'm still okay though, Alright, so you take, okay. That is halved to 4 points of damage. You're going to take that, which is a yes, and then that, and then you halved it to 4 points of damage. You took half damage, which is 4 points of heat damage. Indeed, Calamire, well done for noticing. You can't roll an 8 on a d6 because I rolled yes on the whether the heat is sufficient to cause damage, and I've rolled it twice now. It started at a d6, it is now a d8. The next time that you get a yes on whether or not it's hot enough to take damage, it'll be a d10. After that, it'll be a d12. After that, it'll increase even further, I'll say. So it does get hotter and hotter. The longer you spend here, the more damage you are cumulatively taking. So you are successful on your next 20 minutes of journeying. You've now been in there for 1 hour and 20 minutes, which I'll put down here. 1 hour and 20 minutes. You've gone 8 kilometers through your 18-kilometer journey through the Death Plains. Eventually gets to a D100 for heat damage. You are feeling it very... You're feeling it very hot. Do you have a D16 for reasons? Yes, I do. I have a D6. I have a D every number between 1 and 23, I think. No, 1 and 30, I think. I have a D17. I have a D14. I have a D18. Are they on my desk right now? Guess we might find out. At the end of the heat roll, you took the damage. Then we roll for a random encounter. Is there a random encounter in the Death Plains at the end of that next... Jesus, you guys are not having good luck here. Oh no, actually that's it's the other way around from the heat roll, so the high numbers are actually better on that. That is within the range of no encounter. So thankfully for you, again, because you're in the rim section of the Death Plains, no encounter, no problems. That's not a very good cliffhanger to end on, so we'll go one more round. We'll go one more round until I can end you guys on a cliffhanger, because I'm an asshole. I'm an asshole. All right, that is a 14 on your cartography check for the next section of the journey. 14 plus 6 is a 20 again. The dice are really wanting you guys to map this thing out well. At the end of the next 20 minutes of going, you've now been walking through the area for an hour and 40 minutes since waking, which means it's now like 3:40 in the morning. You've now gone 10 kilometers through the Death Plains, winding back and forth over the paths. Let's roll for heat. It's now a D20 plus 2. D20 plus 2. Oh, God. All right, that is definitely enough to cause damage. That is definitely hot. Constitution save from you. Dice cam. Con save. 5. 5 will be a fail on the con save. Do you want to use a luck point to succeed it, knowing that if you succeed it, you take half damage? Yes, no on the lucky clover to reroll this con save. No to the con save. Yes, the potion. That's a no and a yes, and a yes, and a yes, and a yes, and a no, 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 and a yes, and a no. 2, 4, 6. That's 2. That's you're down the middle on it. I think it's just coming in the favour of no to not use the lucky clover. So you're not going to use the lucky clover to re-roll it. You're just going to fail the save, which means the damage you're going to be taking is a D10. The next question is, do you use a heat potion to try and tank that a little bit? So thumbs up, thumbs down now on the drinking a fire resistance potion. It lasts for an hour, and it will have this damage and any incoming damage for the next hour. There's always the chance of combat too. Yes, there is indeed. All right. Most people saying yes, we are going to consume the bottle and the vial. Look. Fire resistance. We now have 1 remaining fire resistance, but you are now active for fire resistance potion for the next hour. I will take note of that. That is when you took the fire resistance potion. Fire resist. 1 hour. So that's 2 hours nothing at that point. 2 hours 20 at this point. 2 hours 40 at this point. You took it during this, so the last 1, 2, 3, it'll end here. End during that one. Which means that we are currently... We've used those ones. You've gone 10 kilometers. Alright, you've taken your fire resistance potion, so the damage you're going to take just from the heat of being in the Death Plains, it's going to be a lot. No, thankfully it's not. So 4 halved, 2 more points of fire damage. You take 2 points of fire damage. As soon as you drink the fire resistance potion, it's starting to get hot during that 20 minutes of journey. It's starting to get a lot. You eventually I'm definitely going to need to take this if I'm not going to be exhausted. You pop it off the top, and you feel this like cool air come from it, like menthol, like a frigid, ice cold glass of water. And as you chug it back, it's almost like it hits you in the sinuses like menthol, and then it immediately cools down your throat, it cools down into your stomach, and from there you can feel it just immediately radiate out into your muscles, your bloodstream, your brain starts to cool down a little. You feel like you're definitely more able to resist the heat. So you take only 2 points from that 20-minute journey, and then at the end of that, we'll see what sort of encounter you have, if any. There is definitely an encounter. Now I roll to see which type of encounter it is. What do I want? What do I want it to be? I haven't had one of them yet. Okay. What you don't want it to be is poison gas, because I don't see that there's much that you guys can do to avoid poison gas, and you will just take a shit ton of poison damage and maybe die. So we'll hope that it's not the poison gas one. That one would also be pretty dangerous, but I think you could survive it if you're smart. You want it to be those low numbers. Okay. Okay, low numbers. It's still dangerous, but not the worst thing that it could have been. Oh, and then I need to know how many of them are there. How many are there? That's not so good. You're walking through the death plains. You've got your board out. You've got your paper on it. You're taking notes. You're taking measurements. You've got your measuring tools that are like attached by rope so that you don't lose any of them. You're bringing them up, and you're like measuring them out across things. You're measuring them up to things. Let's just see how well the clouds are holding up. Oh, it's actually getting a lot cloudier. It's a lot cloudier, so the vision is starting to get a little lower. You're not doing so well on the long distance imaging, because you can't see past your 20 meters of low light vision. You're doing your best to just focus on mapping the immediate area. For some of the things that you have been looking out for, signs of intelligent life, cats, whether cats will fare well or not on these paths, how visible the path is based on the dust, things like that, noting any dangers that you know about the area, you're doing very well. But at one point, you step up onto a boulder to try and get a better look over a ledge, and as soon as you step up onto the boulder shifts, and then you see a section of the front of the boulder crack open, and then the stonework of the boulder turns into two crab-like claws, and then a glowing heat starts to emerge from the front of this crab-like rock monster, and you may have just found a crabana, one of the things that the gnome cobbler told you about breathes lava or vomits lava onto you. So you're now standing on top of a crabana, and as it cracks and moves underneath you, you see another one cracking open nearby as well. And there are two crabana at least that have come to life and may be about to attack. And that is where we're going to pick up in the next episode. Thank you very much for joining me. I'll see you in episode 10. Bye for now.
Ooh, the story's getting to an interesting point. What's the hive mind gonna do next? Find out next time.